So here's what happened. I gave AI full control of my job for 24 hours, and then this happened. It's not what you think. Let me explain. Now, in the last few years, there has been a huge rise in AI tools that help us with our jobs. We have AI writing assistants like ChatGPT, Jasper, and ScaleNot, AI design tools like Midjourney and Adobe Firefly, AI editing tools like Runway ML, and so much more. And these are just some of the many examples out there. I mean, look at this one called AutoDraw that turns your terrible drawing into something beautiful. Or this AI art generator that anyone can use to create artwork. There's really no shortage of AI tools that help us do our jobs better, faster, or cheaper. But what if you took this a step further? What if you let AI do your whole job for you? So that's exactly what I did. I'm going to show you how I set this up, and then we're going to look at the results together. You'll be surprised. I've got 3 different tools all lined up to take over all of my responsibilities. For each tool, I want to show you my normal workflow and then compare it to how the AI does it. Let's get started with writing. This is a new article I'm working on about the benefits of intermittent fasting. If you're interested, definitely check it out. But for now, let's take a closer look at the first section. I usually write around 3 to 5 sentences with my main focus being to make sure that the hook is strong. I also like to tie in some statistics and expert opinions to back up my claims. As you can see, it's fairly straightforward and most writers could probably do it in under 5 minutes. Now let's hand it over to our AI friend and see how it performs. I asked ChatGPT to write the introduction to an article about the benefits of fasting, and look at the result. Pretty good. I mean, it's actually pretty similar to what I would have written. Of course, I can always tweak it to make it sound more natural, but it's very close to being perfect. It even added in a quote from Jason Fung, which is a bonus. Okay, so AI nailed the intro, but that was kind of easy. How about if we challenge it with something a little bit more difficult, like maybe the conclusion? This part of the article is probably the most important because it's where I wrap everything up and tell the reader why they should care about this topic. To do this, I usually like to summarize the main points, add in a call to action, and then end with a final thought that ties everything together. As you can see, the AI did a pretty decent job. It summarized the main points pretty well, but I don't think it quite understands the importance of the call to action. But overall, I'd say it's pretty good and only needs a few tweaks before it's ready to go. So far, the AI is doing a great job, but we're not done yet. There's still a lot of other things I need to do on this article, like adding images and creating a title. Normally, finding images is pretty easy. All I have to do is hop over to Unsplash, type in a keyword, and pick out a nice image to add to the article. Since I'm writing about fasting, I just search for a picture of someone who's fasting. As you can see, there are plenty of options to choose from. Now let's ask the AI to do the same thing. I asked ChatGPT to find 3 different images that I could use in the article about fasting. Now this is where I noticed something interesting. The AI didn't give me any actual links to the images like I asked. Instead, it gave me descriptions of the images that it thought I should use. For example, it said something like a close-up photo of a person holding a glass of water with a timer in the background. Okay, cool. I guess I could just go to Unsplash and search for that exact phrase and try to find a picture that matches the description. But that seems kind of weird to me. Like, why would the AI give me a description instead of just giving me the actual link to the image? Maybe it thinks it's trying to save me time by having me search for the image myself. But I'm not sure. Either way, I just went ahead and found the images myself and skipped the AI step altogether. Now creating titles is usually my favorite part, because it's where I get to be creative and come up with something catchy that will make people want to read the article. I normally spend a good amount of time brainstorming different ideas until I land on something I like. But what if the AI could do this for me? Well, let's give it a shot. I asked ChatGPT to generate 5 different titles for an article about fasting, and here were the results. Not bad. I mean, the first one is pretty good, but I'm not sure about the others. They're a little too clickbaity for my liking. I'll just have to keep brainstorming on my own and see if I can come up with something better. So now that we have our title, conclusion, images, and introduction all written by AI, let's take a look at the article as a whole. At first glance, it looks pretty good. The conclusion is solid, the images are relevant, and the introduction is pretty solid. But I've noticed that the article is missing something that makes it feel less robotic and more human. That's when I realized that the AI wrote this article in a very generic style. It's missing that unique voice that makes my articles stand out. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, if I'm writing an article on a topic I'm not familiar with, I would probably want the article to be more generic and less opinionated. But since I am familiar with this topic, I want my article to reflect that. So I ended up rewriting most of the article myself, but keeping the conclusion and introduction that the AI wrote. Overall, I'd say the AI did a pretty decent job, but it's still missing that special sauce that makes my articles stand out. Now I know what you're thinking. Why not just have the AI write in your voice? Well, that's actually a really good idea and something I'm going to explore in the future. But for now, let's move on to the next task, which is designing graphics for social media. Now, normally I would use Photoshop to do this, but since I already have Midjourney set up, I figured I might as well use it. So here's a picture I took of myself, and now I'm going to turn it into something awesome. First, I'll start by removing the background, and then I'll jump into Midjourney and generate 5 different images. After that, I'll simply choose the one I like the most, and then use Photoshop to put me back into the image. As you can see, I turned myself into an MMA fighter, which is pretty funny. Now let's see if the AI can match my skills. I fed Midjourney the same exact picture of myself and asked it to create 5 variations. Now these images are pretty cool, but they're not exactly what I was expecting. I was hoping for something more realistic, but these images look more like a cartoon. Still, they're pretty funny, and I could definitely see myself using one of these on social media. But for now, I'm going to stick with my original design and move on to the next task, which is video editing. Now, I'm not a professional editor, but I do have a basic understanding of how to use Premiere Pro. For this task, I just put together a short video using B-roll and stock footage. I made sure to add in text and graphics to keep things interesting and included some music to set the tone. Now let's see if the AI can do just as good. I fed the AI the same exact video file and asked it to edit it in a way that keeps the viewer engaged. The AI then returned this video, which looks pretty good. I mean, it's definitely different from what I would have edited, but it's still pretty good. One thing I do like is how the AI added in these graphic elements that really help to highlight certain parts of the video. Overall, I'd say the AI did a pretty decent job, and I could definitely see myself using some of these techniques in my own edits. So after letting AI take over my job for an entire day, I have to say I was impressed. I mean, it's not perfect, and there were definitely some growing pains along the way, but it was still pretty impressive. AI is definitely not going to replace writers, designers, and editors anytime soon, but it can definitely help us do our jobs faster, better, and cheaper, and that's something I think we should all embrace. Now I want to hear from you. How do you use AI in your work? And do you think AI will eventually replace your job? Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe for more videos just like this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.